Wednesday morning, Kenyan protesters began to pour out into the streets of the capital, Nairobi. Police officers in anti-riot gear restricted vehicular traffic along most roads leading to Nairobi's central business district. Some motorists were turned back, but a number of protesters made their way to the city centre on foot. There, the swelling numbers assembled to raise their voices against a number of grievances. The protests come on the first anniversary of 2024's anti-tax protests, which culminated in the storming of the country's parliament and saw several deaths as police opened fire on demonstrators. A year later, the death of a teacher and blogger in police custody triggered a fresh wave of demonstrations. On the eve of the protests, the embassies of 12 Western nations released a joint statement urging Kenyan authorities to facilitate peaceful demonstrations and to refrain from violence. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen asserted that the government would endeavour to protect everyone and their livelihoods. However, as the protests progressed, police officers deployed the use of tear gas to disperse the crowds. The protesters plan to hold memorials in honour of those who were killed in the 2024 protests. Demonstrations are also ongoing in other towns across Kenya. Bulkis Anyabwa, CGTN.
CGTN's Daniel Aramoy is covering those protests for us here in Nairobi. Daniel Aramoy, thank you for joining us here on Africa Live. Daniel, protesters had started gathering very early in and around Nairobi CBD. What's the latest on this youth-led protest?
Well, yes, Richard, we've been here since morning. It's past 1 o'clock. We're still here in the central business district of Nairobi, where protesters, since morning there's been clashes between the police and the protesters some are pelting stones at the anti-riot police, and the police are trying to block them from accessing the central business district. So it's been running battles really since morning up until now, but security is very tight. Right now where we are, the protesters have moved from across Moi Avenue to Kenyatta Avenue. They are trying to access Parliament, but the anti-riot police is not making it happen at all. They've blocked them. There's a lot of tear gas, as you can just hear right behind me. They're still, firing tear gas since morning up to now. There's been constant tear gas, and I don't know how this is going to last, because we are getting information that there's another large group that is coming from Thika Road. They're also trying to access the central business district, but with what we are seeing, it's going to take quite some time. But we don't know how long this is going to hold. But for now, since morning, it is running battles with the police and tear gas, really, Richard.
Well, Daniel, let's talk more about the security measures. What security measures can you highlight and illuminate for us that have been put in place specifically to protect lives and property, including critical government installations?
Well, Richard, what we are seeing around the central business district is really heavy deployment by all the security agencies. There are those in plain clothes, there are those in uniform. They're all trying to ensure that people do not enter into the CBD and loot people's shops, which most of them are actually closed. We've not seen any business that is open around downtown here. Security is all over. They're trying to patrol those areas that the protesters have not yet reached, so no one is accessing key installation. Where we are is the Supreme Court. We are seeing a lot of security officials deployed here to ensure that no one has access to the Parliament. Parliament is just across the road, so there's heavy deployment in many of the big installation. We are talking about Parliament, we are talking about the Presidency's office. There are security officers guarding all those places heavily to ensure that nobody gets through and cause any problems. So they are not taking any chances this time. They are saying that they will be able to protect life and property around here, Richard.
All right. Daniel, today also marks the first anniversary of the deadly demonstrations in what was popularly known as Gen Z's protest against the 2024 finance bill. What are the underlying issues this time around?
Richard, this was supposed to be a memorial for what happened last year in 2024, where a number of protesters were unfortunately killed during such protest or demonstration. So today was basically meant to have that memorial walk to the CBD and to ensure that they remember those that lost their lives last time. But it's been very, very challenging because security is not allowing that to happen. As I said, they are not taking chances. But of course, Richard, also just recently, the death of a teacher, he's also featuring in this process. Some people are calling for justice. They want the government to respond to what they call injustice. So those key areas, I mean, they're talking about police brutality. They're talking about government failing to listen to their voices. So they're trying to demand that government should come and listen to what they have to say. And this is exactly what we're seeing happening here. They are attempting. But again, Richard, it is also very challenging for the police because the protesters want to come to Parliament how they did last time. So this is becoming a very difficult area for police to contain because they're saying they cannot allow what happened last year to happen again today. So they're trying to contain these protesters. But we don't know how long this is going to hold. If a bigger crowd comes here in the CBD, we don't know what will happen, Richard. But for now, the police is trying to contain all the protesters here in the CBD.
All right. Daniel Arap Moy right here in Nairobi. Thanks for that.